Comment down below where you're watching from and don't forget to like and subscribe if you hate Karen. Jordan Ellis, a 38-year-old data analyst sporting a beard fit for a lighthouse keeper, glided into the multi-story lot still mulling over the day's code audits and the mystery of who kept raiding the office granola bars. His midnight blue Summit X4, bland as oatmeal yet reliably his, waited where he'd parked it that morning. The late afternoon heat bounced off the windshield. All Jordan could think about was the container of Cajun salmon chilling in his fridge. But something was wrong. A woman, bleach blonde bob, oversized sunglasses, and a handbag that probably had its own mortgage, stood planted beside the SUV, white-knuckling a maple baseball bat. Alarm bells clanged in Jordan's head. He approached slowly, channeling every polite instinct his mother ever taught him. "Evening, ma'am. Can I help you?" he asked. She refused to acknowledge him, eyes fixed on the vehicle as though it had personally insulted her. Then, in honeyed tones hiding broken glass, she announced she was waiting for the real owner to discuss serious concerns. Jordan's confusion hardened into unease. The only plausible offense he could imagine was parking too close to her luxury coupe. He took a calming breath and prepared to prove ownership of his own mundane ride. Jordan kept a respectful 12-foot buffer, fingers visible, tone measured. "I'm the owner, ma'am. What's the concern?" The woman finally faced him, ice blue eyes blazing. "So you're the operator of this undercover vehicle," she said, tapping the Summit X4's hood with the bat. "Thought you could fool us, didn't you?" "Undercover?" Jordan echoed. He produced his license and registration, but she waved them away. "Fake papers. I know your type. Prowling neighborhoods, spying, harassing decent people." A passing coworker, Leo, paused. "Everything all right, Jay?" "Just a misunderstanding," Jordan replied, forcing a smile. The coworker shrugged and left, but Jordan noted his phone filming from a distance. Insurance, should things spiral. The woman planted her bat on the asphalt like a scepter. "Name's Marissa Caldwell. I represent a Citizens Watch group, and we won't tolerate intimidation tactics." Jordan's brows knit. "Marissa, I'm a data analyst, not law enforcement. That SUV's 6 years old and smells like Cajun salmon. Hardly covert ops." She scoffed. "Tinted windows, dark paint, textbook stealth. Hand over the keys so we can search for hidden lights and weapons." "Absolutely not." Jordan pocketed his documents. "This is private property. Please back away." Marissa's lips curled. Defiance confirms guilt. She gripped the bat with both hands. "Last chance before I act in self-defense." Jordan's pulse spiked. He lifted his phone, thumb hovering over 911. "Step back, Marissa." Instead, she reared the bat and brought it down. The windshield spiderwebbed under the first blow, scattering tempered glass like ice chips. Jordan jerked away as the second swing obliterated a side mirror, the third caved a headlight. "Stop," he shouted, voice cracking. Marissa answered with manic fury, each strike accompanied by accusations of police harassment and systemic tyranny. Jordan retreated behind a concrete pillar, fingers finally tapping the emergency call icon. "Yes, I'm at the Pine Street garage, woman with a baseball bat destroying my vehicle," he told the dispatcher, breath ragged. In the background, glass kept shattering, wipers, taillight, nothing spared. "Units en route," the dispatcher assured. Sirens soon echoed through the concrete levels. Marissa paused mid-swing, chest heaving, eyes darting like a cornered fox. Blue strobe splashed across the garage. 2 officers emerged, hands open. "Ma'am, put the bat down," one ordered. "They're part of the conspiracy." Marissa shrieked, raising the weapon anew. The officers, practiced in escalation control, closed in, disarmed her, and clicked cuffs around her wrists. Jordan exhaled a tremulous breath, surveying the wreck that had been his reliable Summit X4. He caught Marissa's glare as she was guided toward the cruiser. Pure venom mixed with disbelief that her crusade had failed. But even as sirens faded, Jordan sensed the conflict had only begun. Vehicles could be repaired, but bigotry wielding a bat left splinters far beyond broken glass, and he was determined those splinters wouldn't fester in silence. The next morning, Jordan arrived at Maple Precinct to give a formal statement. An officer photographed every fracture on the Summit X4, now towed and tarp-covered like a crime scene exhibit. Marissa Caldwell faced charges, felony vandalism, assault with a weapon, but her arraignment wouldn't be for days. Back home, Jordan sipped burnt coffee while scrolling social media. Leo's garage video, titled Karen vs. SUV Gone Wild, had exploded overnight, 640,000 views, hashtags #BattyBias and #SummitShred. Commenters dissected Marissa's swings frame by frame, others offered GoFundMe suggestions. Jordan winced, he hadn't wanted notoriety, just justice. Still, public exposure might shield him from countersuits. He rang his insurer. The adjuster, stunned by the footage, promised expedited replacement. Footage that clear? We'll subrogate everything to Ms. Caldwell's carrier. Relief mixed with fatigue. A ping from an unknown number interrupted, Mr. Ellis, I represent Marissa Caldwell. She believes you provoked her. Cease media sharing or expect defamation action. Jordan snorted. Nice try. He forwarded the threat to his attorney cousin, Valerie. Valerie called within minutes. Typical intimidation. Keep all evidence. We'll file for restitution and protective orders if needed. Jordan rubbed his temples. I just wanted leftovers and Netflix. Reality wrote a different script, Valerie said gently. We'll handle it. At work, HR ushered him into a quiet room. The firm's legal counsel expressed solidarity and arranged counseling leave. Colleagues left sticky note encouragement on his monitor, stay strong, data wizard. Even the refrigerator dropped off a fresh pack of yogurt. Small mercies. That evening, local Channel 7 requested an interview. Jordan hesitated but agreed, framing the story around racial profiling and property rights, not internet spectacle. On camera he spoke calmly, beard freshly trimmed, my vehicle was targeted because fear warped into violence. Accountability matters. Viewers flooded comment sections with support, drowning out trolls parroting Marissa's undercover cop fantasy. Meanwhile, Valerie uncovered Marissa's online footprint, posts in fringe forums about shadow police fleets and sovereign patrols. She drafted a civil complaint seeking damages for the SUV, lost wages, and emotional distress. Late night, Jordan scrolled one last time. Headlines now read, bat-wielding vandal claims victim was secret police. He shut the laptop, heart heavy yet resolute. Tomorrow he'd choose a rental car, maybe bright orange, impossible to brand as covert, and start paperwork to rebuild. But he also drafted a LinkedIn article titled Bias isn't just a buzzword when it swings a bat. If Marissa's delusion exposed a fracture in community trust, Jordan intended to wedge it open to daylight until repair became mandatory. Viral fame was a surprise, using it for change would be deliberate. Arraignment day dawned drizzly, the courthouse steps slick under gray skies. Jordan, tailored navy suit and a folder of evidence tucked beneath his arm, felt equal parts defendant, witness, and reluctant public figure. Valerie met him at security, crisp graphite blazer and a legal pad bristling with color-coded tabs. Inside, Courtroom D buzzed with reporters and rubbernecking citizens. On the defense bench sat Marissa Caldwell, hair less immaculate than the garage incident but defiance undimmed. Beside her, attorney Douglas Harlan whispered furiously. His resume boasted HOA battles and talk radio appearances railing against government overreach. Perfect match, Jordan mused. Judge Penelope Strauss, late 50s, ice silver bun, called the docket. The clerk read charges. felony vandalism, assault with a deadly weapon, malicious destruction of property, and hate crime enhancement based on witness statements. Gasps fluttered across the gallery. Harlan sprang up. "Your Honor, Ms. Caldwell acted under reasonable belief she was confronting undercover intimidation. We'll prove Mr. Ellis displayed aggressive cues consistent with covert law enforcement behavior." Valerie rose smoothly. "We intend to show the defendant's belief was not reasonable but rooted in racial bias, as evidenced by derogatory remarks captured on video." Judge Strauss nodded curtly. "Save substance for trial. Today we address bail." The prosecution requested remand. Harlan pled for recognizance, citing Marissa's civic ties. Valerie presented Marissa's inflammatory posts, tinted SUVs equals secret enforcers, approach with force if necessary. The judge set bail at $75,000 and ordered psychiatric evaluation. Outside, microphones thrust toward Jordan. He limited himself to one line: "Due process will decide, but violence built on bias threatens us all." Valerie shepherded him to a waiting rideshare. Over the next weeks, discovery churned. Valerie subpoenaed Marissa's digital history. Harlan demanded Jordan's performance reviews, apparently hunting for a temper record. HR complied. Glowing evaluations only strengthened Jordan's case. Marissa's insurer, facing a six-figure repair bill, pushed for settlement. Harlan balked, confident a jury would sympathize with a concerned citizen. Valerie counterfiled a civil suit, adding punitive damages for hate motivation. Negotiations stalled. Trial commenced in early spring. Jury selection proved grueling. Potential jurors were grilled on viral video exposure. 12 seated, diverse ages, backgrounds, none admitting prior viewing. Opening statements framed clashing narratives. Prosecutor Nina Delgado painted Marissa as a vigilante driven by unfounded prejudice. Harlan depicted her as a good Samaritan defending neighbors from clandestine policing. The bat, displayed across an evidence table, seemed to roar its own rebuttal: nicked, splintered, unmistakably lethal. Jordan testified first. Valerie guided him through events. He maintained composure until footage of the windshield shattering played. The echo of tempered glass still jolted his nerves. On cross, Harlan insinuated Jordan advanced toward Marissa. Valerie objected. Video showed clear distance. The jury took notes. Experts followed, an auto appraiser valuing damage at $41,000, a psychologist explaining implicit bias and threat perception. Harlan's witnesses included a self-styled Neighborhood Watch blogger who claimed undercover SUVs were rampant. Delgado shredded his credentials: no law enforcement background, only ad-click revenue. Marissa finally took the stand, voice trembling yet sharp. She recounted online articles warning of secret strike teams, and claimed Jordan's menacing beard amplified her fear. Delgado pressed, "Why smash the vehicle instead of calling police?" Marissa's answer, "Cops can't police themselves," rang hollow amid the courtroom's hush. Closing arguments crystallized stakes. Delgado invoked fairness: law protects citizens from vigilantism. Harlan conjured paranoia. If he had been undercover, who would protect us? Valerie's civil claim closing hit last: prejudice plus a weapon isn't protection. It's persecution. Jury deliberation spanned 6 hours. Verdict: guilty on all counts. Applause rippled before Judge Strauss quieted the room. Sentencing set for next month, prison a possibility. Outside, Jordan exhaled into crisp evening air. Reporters clamored, but he offered gratitude to the legal team and urged viewers to reject fear-based violence. The bat, now state evidence, would never swing again, but its echo would drive legislative proposals for enhanced hate crime penalties statewide. Sentencing day arrived beneath bright May sunlight, courthouse lawn dotted with cameramen and community activists. Inside, the gallery swelled, a mosaic of supporters wearing "Justice is not equal to prejudice" buttons. Jordan sat with Valerie at the plaintiff's table, his new bronze Summit X6 key fob rested in his palm, talisman of restoration. Judge Strauss entered, robe flowing like dark water. State vs. Caldwell, docket 22-317. Counsel ready. Delgado and Harlan nodded. Marissa stood, pale, hands clasped. The prosecution requested 5 years, citing violent intent and racial motivation. Harlan pleaded for probation and mandated counseling, painting Marissa as a misguided mother of 2. Delgado countered with victim impact testimony. Jordan approached the lectern, pulse drumming. Your Honor, he began, voice steady. MS. Caldwell shattered more than glass. She shattered my sense of safety. I fix data breaches for a living, now I flinch at parking garage echoes. I ask the court to send a message, recklessness born of bias has consequences. He returned to his seat, heart hammering. Valerie squeezed his shoulder. Marissa's allocution followed. She read from a crumpled page, apologizing for misinterpreting a threat, yet never acknowledging racial bias. Judge Strauss's brow raised. Sentence. 48 months incarceration, 2 years supervised release, restitution of $68,400 to Jordan and his insurer, mandatory bias reduction therapy. Gasps, then subdued cheers. Marissa's knees buckled, bailiff steadied her. Reporters swarmed Jordan on the steps. He spoke of accountability, healing, and policy change. A state senator announced intent to introduce Ellis Act, legislation increasing penalties for hate-motivated property violence. Consequences rippled beyond court. Marissa's employer, a mid-level marketing agency, terminated her contract for violating conduct clauses. Community organizations she'd volunteered for issued statements condemning her actions. Her children faced whispers at school, a GoFundMe for legal fees flopped amid public backlash. Meanwhile, Jordan's company spotlighted his resilience at a diversity summit. He delivered a keynote titled From Code Audits to Courtrooms, Confronting Bias in Real Time. Tech blogs amplified his story. Speaking invitations poured in. Jordan channeled honorariums into the new Caldwell Restorative Justice Fund, ironically named to emphasize transformation over hatred. Valerie finalized the civil settlement, total $120,000, Marissa's insurer covered vehicle replacement and therapy, personal assets addressed punitive damages. Jordan donated a portion to nonprofits aiding hate crime survivors. Still, trauma lingered. Nightmares of splintering glass jolted him awake. A therapist helped him mold hypervigilance into mindfulness. He practiced parking garage exposure, each level brighter with LED upgrades the building installed after the incident. Community shifts emerged. The Pine Street garage added security cameras and blue light emergency phones. Jordan joined the advisory board, ensuring policies protected without profiling. An art student painted a mural on an exterior wall, stylized windshield cracks morphing into a phoenix, the caption. Break, rise, transform. Summer brought Jordan's first road trip in the Summit X6, Colorado mountains, moonlit highways. He documented stops on a blog intertwining travel tips with reflections on justice. Readers shared stories of their own bad moments, catalyzed to confront bias. Back home, a letter awaited, handwritten by Marissa from county jail. She described therapy sessions, books on unconscious prejudice, and offered an unqualified apology. Jordan's hands shook as he read. He penned a measured reply, forgiveness contingent on continued accountability, hope for her children's brighter path. Healing, he realized, was iterative, a series of commits and patches, not a single flawless update. But with each line of code he pushed, each speech he gave, Jordan rewrote the narrative Marissa tried to impose. Hate struck first, but growth committed the final merge. Autumn ushered in crisp air and the inaugural Summit Inclusion Hackathon, hosted at Jordan's firm. Teams tackled bias detection in AI datasets and built apps connecting victims to legal aid. Jordan keynote, Software mirrors society, debugging prejudice in code teaches us to debug it in ourselves. Among attendees was Detective Lena Morales, one of the officers who'd arrested Marissa. Offstage she thanked Jordan for turning a violent episode into civic momentum. "We updated de-escalation training using your case," she revealed. "Empathy and evidence trump assumptions." Meanwhile, Valerie oversaw launch of the Caldwell Fund's pilot program, subsidizing windshield repairs for hate crime victims within 48 hours. The first recipient, a Sikh rideshare driver, hugged Jordan tearfully outside the autoglass shop. Local news covered it, donations tripled overnight. At the garage mural unveiling, Jordan watched children trace phoenix feathers with chalk. A plaque read, "Dedicated to Resilience born in a parking lot, June 23. Even Leo." The co-worker who'd captured the viral footage, admitted he now confronted biased jokes he once ignored. Jordan's nights grew quieter, dreams swapped shattering glass for mountain switchbacks. Yet monthly, he wrote to Marissa, sending book lists and reflections. She replied, documenting therapy milestones and GED classes. Valerie advised caution, but Jordan believed structured dialogue could temper future swings, literal or figurative. The Summit X6's odometer hit 10,000 miles. Jordan affixed a decal beneath the rear wiper, tiny cracked glass motif beside the word rebuilt. Each morning it reminded him that what breaks can also redefine. 2 years later, cold February drizzle painted the prison gate as Marissa Caldwell stepped into civilian air. A re-entry counselor accompanied her to a modest halfway house. Waiting outside, not for confrontation but closure, stood Jordan with Valerie. Marissa halted, eyes wide. "You actually came." Jordan nodded. "To ensure the next chapter starts responsibly." Valerie handed over paperwork, a structured restitution plan, community service schedule at the garage mural project, and a zero-contact boundary outside agreed settings. Marissa's voice quavered. "I'm sorry, fully, unconditionally." Therapy stripped away excuses. Jordan studied her. The arrogance was gone, the paperclip certainty replaced by tentative humility. He extended a pamphlet, Bias Reduction Peer Circles, Volunteers Needed. "If you commit, we'll meet again inside those sessions. Otherwise, we part here." Weeks later, Marissa arrived at a circle meeting, no makeup, sleeves rolled, ready to scrub graffiti from a rec center wall. Participants shared stories, she listened, then recounted the bat incident in detail, acknowledging racial prejudice without deflection. Some volunteers withheld forgiveness, others offered guarded acceptance. Jordan, co-facilitator, maintained boundaries yet observed genuine effort. After session 6, he stated publicly, "Accountability is a journey, today Marissa walks it." Social media pundits raged on both sides, but the local community largely focused on tangible work, litter pickups, food bank shifts, coding workshops for underserved teens funded by Caldwell Restitution. One evening Marissa approached Jordan while painting playground equipment. "I can't undo what I smashed, but maybe I can build something." She gestured to fresh teal bars. Jordan offered a cautious smile. Actions, not words, would decide. Spring sunlight streamed through garage windows, glinting off the Summit X6's polished hood. Jordan tightened a roof rack bolt, prepping for a charity cycling tour benefiting hate crime survivors. Nearby, Marissa and other volunteers loaded helmets and water coolers. The ride began at Pine Street Garage, once a scene of destruction, now renovated with bright murals and flowering planters. Cyclists rolled out, escorted by community police bike patrol. Residents cheered, some remembering the viral video that birthed this transformation. Mid-route, a reporter pedaled beside Jordan. "If you could replay that night, would you change anything?" Jordan pondered. "I'd prefer no bat, sure. But the cracks revealed what we needed to excise. Sometimes progress demands uncomfortable exposure." At a rest stop, Marissa refilled bottles silently. A teenager recognized her from old clips, whispered to a friend. She met their gaze, shrugged, and resumed work, no hiding, no defensiveness. Jordan noted it, logging incremental change. The tour concluded at the mural Phoenix, now expanded with children's handprints forming wings. Funds raised surpassed targets, the Caldwell Fund announced statewide expansion. As sunset painted the skyline, Jordan locked his bike onto the summit's rack. He glanced at the faded crack decal, symbol of past fracture and present strength. Marissa approached with a small box. A model SUV crafted from broken windshield glass, edges rounded smooth. For the journey, she said softly. Proof that shattered pieces can become art. Jordan accepted it, feeling unexpected warmth. Redemption wasn't guaranteed, but deliberate reconstruction, panel by panel, policy by policy, person by person, was undeniably possible. He stowed the glass sculpture on the dashboard, started the engine, and steered onto the boulevard. The city lights reflected in the windshield. Whole, unbroken, yet forever shaped by one splintered glass.